have nowhere to go and nowhere to be. I'm moving angles a little bit because I'm trying to dodge the sun, so just be prepared for me being all over the place in this video, but don't spoil it for anybody. But they re-meet again 10 years later at the homecoming ceremony. They give themselves a nickname based on their dorm. This is like the most ridiculously dramatic pause that I just made. Hi everybody, it's Audrey and welcome back to Chapter and Converse. Today's video is going to be talking about all the non-series books I read in September. So I did a whole video just on the series I did because I wanted to wrap that up, but then there are 4 other books that I read that I want to talk about, obviously. So these are all standalones, obviously, and I read them in September, obviously. Can you tell it's been a week? So I know we're dealing with some light situation here. It's that time of day, but I want to film this video so I can get it up for you guys. So we're just going to deal with sort of the ever-changing sun because those are just, you know, it's hard being a booktuber. So I'm pretty sure in my series September video, I misquoted how many books I read this month. You guys, I read 11 books this month. And I did do a bunch of audiobooks, which obviously always helps my numbers. But this was like one heck of a month. I had a really rough month on the personal front, pulling my hair. And I only wanted to escape into books. Like I did do some TV, I tried to zone out that way. And I'm not mad about the fact that my happy place and my comfort zone was to just get lost in stories. And I got lost in so many great books, you guys. So I talked about it in my series September video. There's definitely a book in there that I predict is going to be on my best of 2021 list. And I 1000% predict one of the books that I'm about to talk about here is going to be on that list too. I'm not even going to make you guys wait. In My Dreams, I Hold a Knife by Ashley Winstead. I'm calling it. I called it. I don't even know if I was 50 pages in when I posted this on Instagram, and I was like, yep, absolutely. This is my wheelhouse. This is everything I want in a book and more. I absolutely believe this is going to make my best of 2021 list. And everybody out there who said I was going to love it, you were right. You were so right. I am so glad I picked this book up and I read it immediately. And I still cannot for the life of me figure out how I did not have this on my list of books to read in August when it came out. When did this thing even come out? This book was so freaking good, you guys. So this book, all the buzzwords. We have a 10-year college reunion. We have a mystery in the past. We have a mystery in the present. We have a group of friends. This is a co-ed group of friends who met freshman year in college, day one. They wind up becoming the best of friends, and they wind up working on this homecoming float together. And at that time, that pivotal moment, they sort of self-proclaim themselves the East House 7. And they meet again 10 years later, homecoming weekend at Duquesne University. So we follow the main perspective of Jessica, and we see most of the story through her eyes. We do get some varying perspectives on things, and it's really that sort of the romantics kind of a vibe. There's a little bit of like hunting party kind of a vibe, and even maybe like a little secret history-ish kind of vibe. So it's kind of dark academia, but it's like all these secrets people have been keeping. And I always love this, like who you were in college and who people think you are today, and trying to figure out the mystery of all of it. And this is told in a way which I've heard other people talk about in a negative way, but it totally worked for me. So we do get varying perspectives, but we time jump a lot. So it'll be like the first day of freshman year, it'll be homecoming of freshman year, then it might be February of junior year, then it might be September of sophomore year. So it jumps around a lot, but it always tells you where you are, but it's weaving all the stories together. It didn't bother me the way it was written. And again, I loved these characters, dark and messed up people doing dark and messed up things, unlikable characters. And it was just everything. It was just everything I wanted in a book and everything I love in a book. And this was one of those books where as soon as I finished it, I was like, okay, I'm ready to go back to the beginning and start all over again. Because I loved Ashley Winstead's writing. It's a debut. And I listened to so many podcasts and interviews with her. And in one of them, she was talking about how she did the pitch slam, which is something that writers can do. And you're trying to find an agent, you're trying to find people to help, you know, help you work on your book to get it ready to be sent out and queried and agented. And so many people that she did the pitch slam with wound up getting agents out of it, and she didn't. And she was understandably like really angry and disappointed and frustrated. And she wound up writing a scene that wound up being in this book that was the catalyst for her writing this book. So the book she was writing at Pitch Slam is not this book. And this book came out of her pain and disappointment from not being selected through that. So you talk about, I don't even know if it was Marian Keyes who said like, write about your pain, not your joy. You talk about things working out in a way, this book would not have existed if that had not happened to her. And I always love these writer stories because I am a writer, and you guys, I just loved it so much. I thought it was great. I'm here for it. It is, again, everything I want in a book and then some, and I cannot wait to see what Ashley Winstead does next because she's auto-buy author for me now, 100%. The next book I read is one I haven't read since I was in high school, and I forgot 95% of this book. So I read The Great Gatsby again, you guys, and I actually wound up listening to the audiobook of this, and Sean Astin does the audio. He's so good, so good. I can't believe how much of this book I forgot. And I can't believe how much I loved it. And I remember hearing an interview with Taylor Jenkins Reid, and she said how she reread this book every year. And part of me, of course, was like, she's so cool. She's so freaking cool. But I thought, like, I haven't read that book since forever. I want to reread this book again. And I kind of backburnered it, but then I wound up getting, I haven't read it yet, but I read this to prepare for this, The Chosen and the Beautiful. And this is kind of like, I don't even know if it's like a reimagining, but this is from Jordan Baker's perspective. So I wanted to go back to the original, get myself familiar with everything. So I'm planning to read this hopefully in October while everything is fresh in my mind. But I really just loved this book. And I mean, again, just unlikable people doing messed up things. So good, so good. And I've never seen the movie, the Leonardo DiCaprio movie, which I want to see. And I feel like I talked about this in the last one when I talked about Peter Pan. Taylor Swift always includes Gatsby-ish things in her songs. I feel like all roads lead back to Taylor. But I just had such a good time with this book, and I love this. I got this a while ago. It's so beautiful. But if you haven't read Gatsby in a while, or you have, I would totally just recommend picking it up again, or if you haven't read it at all. But I really enjoyed it. I mean, Jay Gatsby. Oh, Jay. And then for anyone out there who is a long ago Bostonian, or used to be a Bostonian, or still is, and maybe has been there for a while, do you remember Daisy Buchanan's on Newbury Street? That bar was such a go-to for my friends and I in college, after college, and I know it's not there anymore, but we were there for a reunion however many years ago, and we went to Daisy's, and it just is like such sentimental, warm and fuzzy vibes. But it was such a place we would go to for like after formals or things like that. And when we went back for our reunion, there was totally like formal people there, like people who were there like after their formals partying and stuff like that. But it was like, there was outdoor seating. So it was just like the best people watching place to go. I just love Daisy's. But anyway, such a great book. I had such a fun time rereading it, and I'm so glad I picked it up, and I'm so jazzed to now dive into this. The next book I read was a bit of a disappointment to me, and it pains me because I was so excited for this book and it just didn't meet my expectations. And it's A Lesson in Vengeance by Victoria Lee. This was supposed to be like dark academia and witches and boarding school and dark and messed up female friendships and mystery in the past and mystery in the present and like all these things that I love. And it just didn't wholly work for me. So I would kind of put this kind of at a standard 3-star read because there were parts of it that I liked. This was one of those books where there'd be like a good line or a good like turn of phrase or like a good moment. I'd be like, oh, it's getting good. Oh, I'm totally into it. And then like the next chapter, I'd be like, ugh. I was like the balloon that was like blowing up and deflating. And ultimately it just, I wanted to love this book. I did. And there was a point where I was like, I'm just going to DNF it. But I was like, no, I want to see it through because I'm hearing so many great things about it. And I definitely feel like I'm in the minority here. But I talked about this in the series video about One of Us is Next. This read young YA to me. And it's just one of those YA books that made me feel old. And there was just something about the characters that I just didn't connect to it at all. So the premise of this book is we have our main character whose name is Felicity. And a year ago, she was at this school and her girlfriend died. So Felicity winds up leaving the school and she comes back a year later to kind of do her second senior year. And when she comes back, there is a new girl living in her old girlfriend's room in their dorm. They have like all these little like boarding houses or like little houses they all live in around campus. And her name is Ellis, and she is writing a book. And I want to say she's already written a book. She's 18, like already published a book, and she's just the get, you know, for the school. And she's writing a book about the mysteries and the history of the Dalloway school. So there was this group of girls called the Dalloway Five back in like the late 1600s, early 1700s when the school was founded. And they were all rumored to be witches and descendants of witchcraft. And all 5 of them died in very mysterious ways within a year. And this has always been a legend of the school. And our main character, Felicity, we're told, is somehow fascinated by this and was like also writing her thesis on this. And now Ellis is here and she's exploring it. And it sounded interesting, but it just didn't work. Or for me, I shouldn't say it didn't work. It didn't work for me. And I feel like what would have helped me be more engaged, and I mean, you know, take this for what it is. I think if we had seen more of what happened the year before, because Felicity's girlfriend dies, and part of it is like this mystery of what happened, but we never really got to know her girlfriend. So I didn't feel like I had any connection to her. Like I was sort of like, oh, she died last year, whatever. So I didn't feel like I understood their relationship, or you don't really like see them together, even in flashback. And then there's this mystery of these 5 witches, and it kind of is like, is history repeating itself? Because there's like secret societies, but we never really see them. And we don't see what happened to the girls, the witches, you know, hundreds of years ago, but we just like read little stories like, oh, she was found in a tree and she was found in the yard and she was found over here. But like maybe if we saw it in like a super flashback, that would have been helpful or something. I don't know. But the characters just felt super flat to me and a little cookie cuttery to me. I mean, they're like drinking tea and smoking cigarettes and like reading obscure novels in the library kind of a thing. I don't know. So my favorite character in this entire book is Quinn. And I feel like there wasn't enough Quinn and Quinn came too late. And if there had been more Quinn or more characters like that, in terms of interest and just their interactions and everything. Like I just thought Quinn was such a great character, and I wish there was more of that in the book. And it was too late and it wasn't enough. But even though I still was like, oh, here we go again, it never worked for me. And the end felt predictable and like a little bit unbelievable. And I wanted it to be something other than what it was. It just didn't work for me. I wasn't the right audience for this. I'm too old for this, maybe. I don't know. But again, I think I am definitely in the minority, but I'm glad I read it in the sense that my curiosity is served. Curiosity is fed. Cured. I've cured my curiosity, but unfortunately, this was just sort of a mess. So I ended the month listening to Falling by TJ Newman. You guys, this book was so high octane, claustrophobic. Like if you read No Exit and liked it, it's that same feeling of constant tension. What's going to happen next? Oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God, oh my God. Like rising tension. And I loved it. And I was so emotionally invested. And this is so crazy. Cried. I mean, I've been a ball of emotion all month long. But this was narrated by Steven Weber, such a good narrator. He did such a great job. And this is one of those books where I would say go into it basically blind. So this is about a pilot, and he is boarding his flight. So they're flying from LA to New York. And once he is on the plane, he gets a message. And it is this man who has kidnapped his wife and 2 young children. And he tells him, you either need to crash that plane or I'm gonna kill your family. Your call. It's all you need to know. It's all you need to know. So TJ Newman used to be a flight attendant. So you have someone who totally understands airlines, totally understands flights. There's so much like intricate detail of the operations, but not in a way that you're bogged down in it. But there was some very interesting details when it comes to how to fly a plane and how to operate a flight and what the flight attendants do. But you get multiple perspectives. This definitely was just like edge of my seat. I can see this as a movie and being completely tense and exciting and well done. I just thought it was great. So if you are looking for a thriller to either like get you out of a slump if you're in one, or just something that you can tear through, this was definitely one of those books where I was like, what else can I do so I can keep listening to this book? Because I just need to know. I need to know. I need to know. It was so good. It was so good. And I'm so glad I did the audio of it, because I do think it would have been exciting reading it, but there was just something about that mounting tension and action. And like, again, Steven Weber was just such a great narrator. I loved it. So I was lucky enough to get this through Libro FM, and I have talked about them here before, you guys. So I am part of their ALC program, which is Advanced Listener Copies, and I have their info below if you're interested. If you're not, no worries. But if you are, they are an audiobook service similar to other audiobook services that are out there. But the difference with Libro FM is all of their proceeds go to independent bookstores. So you can choose the bookstore you want to give it to, you can let them choose for you, and it just serves the indie book community and the indie bookstore community, which is great. So you can give it a free trial if you're interested. And I love their program. I listen to so many audiobooks through my library, and it's definitely not as sophisticated. And then when you listen with an actual audiobook company, whether you want to make notes in the audiobook, like the fact that you can bookmark and make notes in it, that's like mind blown. I feel like such an amateur when it comes to audiobooks. But anyway, long story short, this audiobook was amazing. I am back on an audio train groove. I continue to get them from my bookstore, my library as well. But yeah, what a way to end the month. What a way to end the month. And then in terms of what I'm listening to now, I'm listening to Never Saw Me Coming by Vera Kurian, and I am loving this. So I'm probably 40% in. This was one of my most anticipated books, and I'm loving it. I hope it stays that way. I hope it stays that way. But this is about a girl named Chloe, and she is a freshman in college, and she is part of this special program in the psychology department where they have kind of recruited / tapped 8 psychopaths to join this program. And there are professors in the psychology program who are monitoring them. And our main character, Chloe, has come with one mission, and it is to kill Will. So we follow Chloe's journey, but then what starts to happen is that people in the program start to get murdered. So it becomes this cat and mouse game of who is after them, who even knows who they are, because the people in the program don't even know who the other psychopaths are. So they don't introduce them to each other, but things just kind of start going off the rails. But Chloe is definitely one of those characters that so far I would say is not going to be for everyone. She definitely knows what she wants and she's going after it. I'm loving the writing of this book. I'm loving the characters in this. Again, you get multiple perspectives in this one, so it's like things in my wheelhouse. From what I can tell, we've got dark and messed up people doing dark and messed up things. So I will let you guys know how it all shakes out in the end, but so far, so great. So that's gonna do it for the rest of what I read in September, non-series wise. But let me know, you guys, if you have read any of these. Let me know what you read that was a favorite of the month, or if you had like a bummer of the month. And let me know anything else you wanna let me know down below. So I will see you guys really soon in another video. Thanks for hanging out and watching me today and spending some of your time here. And I will talk to you guys real soon. Bye, everybody.